Welcome to Football Forecast Weekly, the most popular football program in America, featuring Dennis Tobler, Trip Mitchell, and Fred Wallen.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Dennis Tobler, and this is the 35th year of Football Forecast Weekly. I couldn't be more proud of the program. I'm the executive producer. I'm here this week standing in for our regular host, Trip Mitchell, who is on a 2-week vacation in the heart of Europe. I guess only the wealthy get to go on vacations. The rest of us have to work, Fred. And speaking of Fred, I would like to introduce to you now one of the best sports journalists in the country and famous for his Sports Overnight America show on SiriusXM and all the apps and sportsbyline.com. And that's Mr. Fred Wallen. Welcome to the show, Fred.
I wonder if Trip's going to be in London watching the early morning our time game on Sunday. What do you think?
I'm not sure. Last picture I got from him, he was in Greece. So when he gets back, I'm going to fine him for missing these two shows, and then we'll talk about it with him. Okay. I wanted to welcome you to the show and give me your impressions of last week's college football. I know we had a lot of action in the Pac-10, and no one hears about it on the East Coast. Give us a quick rundown. UCLA, USC, undefeated. What's it look like?
Sort of hard to believe. The UCLA has actually won 8 games in a row. Nobody knows that because of the last 3 games of last year. Then their bowl game was canceled, the Holiday Bowl, and now they've won the first 5 this time around. But the game last Friday was the real big one for them because it was real competition going in. Washington, of course, most people thought Washington was going to win that game. And yet UCLA had to hold them off at the end, 40-32. The Bruins have a quarterback, Dorian Thompson, that a lot of people don't realize. He's been there six years. And he's going to end up with probably more victories than anybody in history. But of course, historically, freshmen couldn't play. So they only had 3 years to play varsity. But anyways, at the end of all this, he's a darn good quarterback. And he might be a pretty good player in the pros. So Dorian Thompson and the Bruins undefeated. USC's undefeated. But I don't know how many times you've seen them play this year. Offensively, they're tough to stop. Defensively, they can't stop anybody. Your comments?
Well, I particularly think the West Coast has a good football program, and if all the East Coast teams played consistently on the West Coast, they wouldn't run over those smaller teams like they do. That's my quick comment on it all. We've got one game going at 6:30 in London. We've got 30 seconds to analyze it. Green Bay's an 8.5-point favorite over the Giants. What say you?
Doesn't rain. I'm going over. Aaron Eagle.
Over 41. Total's 41.
If it doesn't rain, I'm going Ego. Aaron Ego. He likes to star in those kind of circumstances. Fortunate to win last week, actually, against the Patriots. I think the Giants have surprised a lot of people. Coach DeBall is, I think his players really play for him. So I think both teams will score. And so I'm going over.
I'm going to take the over along with you as the top pick, and I just can't lay 8.5 with Green Bay, so I'll take New York Giants. We'll have more NFL for you when we come back. Stay right where you are.
Now place your bets. This groundbreaking film details the dramatic rise of legal sports betting in Las Vegas and its growth into a multi-billion-dollar industry worldwide. Through in-depth interviews, personal accounts, and vintage footage, we highlight the key elements and milestones that shaped the sports betting industry into what it is today. This history also dovetails with the changing fortunes of Las Vegas as a gambling town at turns overseen by the elements of organized crime, corporate interests, and the U.S. government. Featured prominently in the film are pioneer odds makers and historians who witnessed these events. Today, betting on sports is a popular pastime and a lifestyle choice for many Americans. Its appeal incorporates the innate drive for competition and the rewards of winning. Watch Now Place Your Bets on Amazon Prime and NowPlaceYourBets.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solutions Center. Diabetics understand all too well the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor or CGM, you can immediately reduce your pain. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn about this groundbreaking new CGM technology. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how you can get your own continuous glucose monitor or CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Football Forecast Weekly. My name's Dennis Tobler. I'm here with Fred Wallen. We will be analyzing this week's NFL games, and we hope to give you some winners. Certainly, we will give you the insights and information you need to help you become a winner. The first game on the board we're going to take a look at after the London game will be Seattle Seahawks at the New Orleans Saints. The Saints opened 6, dropped to 5.5 after Seattle's great performance last week. And the total on this one's 45. Fred Wallen, how do you see this game, Saints and Seahawks?
Well, first I was worried that Mr. Metcalf was injured. Then you find out the reason they took him off on the card was because he had to go to the bathroom and couldn't make it if he had to walk. So he's okay. That makes all the difference. They've got the wide receivers. They're going to score a lot of points. I like the over. I think both teams will score. I think both teams have failing on defense, so it's a perfect mesh here. I've seen a couple numbers on the over. Dennis, what number do you have latest-wise as far as the over is concerned?
Well, it opened at 41 and moved to 45, so you are on the right track, Fred.
So we'll go over on that one.
Okay, the line on that one opened Saints 6 down to 5.5. I'm going to take Seattle plus the 5.5 here. They won for me last week as a surprise on the road. Geno Smith's getting better as time goes on, and that's all we can hope for is for him to get a little better. The Saints, I will say this, are better with Andy Dalton at quarterback, but that's just a lot of points in a game where neither team has the ability to score tons of points. So I'm going to take Seattle plus the 5.5 in this one. You've got the over. I agree with the over. Sounds good to me. Moving on down the schedule here, I'm looking at the Houston Texans taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars been a surprise this year. They opened at 7. They're 7.5 now. The total's 44.5 versus the Texans.
The Texans, with that one tie, only team in the league right now without a victory after the Raiders picked up one last week. So Texans in trouble. I really mean that. I'm going to take the Jags. Trevor Lawrence can only get better, and he will get better. I think they're very well coached by Peterson. And I think the Jags will win by a couple touchdowns here. So I'm going to go with the Jags against the Texans. And right now, a couple weeks ago, I said the Jets, the worst team in the league. But right now, I think you can make the case perhaps the Texans are the worst teams in the National Football League.
Well, they certainly haven't won a game yet, and it's hard to see them winning or even competing in this game. Jacksonville looks much, much improved. They should have covered the spread last week. It was only a fluke that kept them from not covering. So they're playing very well. They get to go home. I think that's a big boom for them with the hurricane going through Florida. They need some sort of distractions down there, and I think Jacksonville at home will offer that. There'll be a big raucous crowd there. They will probably destroy Houston. I'm going to take the Jaguars and lay the points too here. Big number, 7.5. Both Fred and I like the Jaguars in that one. Also back on the East Coast this week, we've got the tenacious Buffalo Bills on the road to take on the Atlanta Falcons. The Tampa Bay Bucks, opened 8 and they moved to 9 after last week's games. The total here is 48. Looks for a lot of scoring. So Atlanta going in to take on Brady and the boys. What's your opinion, Fred?
Well, Brady doesn't lose two in a row too often. That's on one side. He's got a slew of wide receivers. He really does. The only worry I have is Cameron Brate has a concussion. And after what happened to Tua, there's no way Brate's going to play. That makes a major difference. As you know, I play fantasy a lot. I almost always, the last couple of years, have had Brate in one of my lineups. Can't do it if he doesn't play, obviously. So from that aspect, they lose a little bit. But still, I think they'll cover the spread and win this
one. So you're taking Tampa Bay minus the 9?
Yeah. If it goes over 10, I've got the rule that I'm not wagering, and it has jumped, but I don't think it's going to jump over the 10. So
no, it won't get to 10. I don't think it'll get to 10. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are hurt. They're hurt everywhere. It showed on the field last week against Kansas City. I don't think that Brady will lose this ball game, but Atlanta surely could cover by backdoor on a huge 9-point spread here. So I'm going to take Atlanta plus the 9. We're going to differ on this one. Looks like a lot of points going to be scored, though, at 48 with the total. And should be a bang-up game. It'll probably be one of the toughest ones in the contest. Okay, I think I skipped a game on the schedule. Did I skip Pittsburgh Steelers at the Buffalo Bills?
Maybe you did it for a good reason.
I either made a mistake on the Atlanta-Tampa game or I skipped it. The Bills are 14-point favorites at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, total 47. The Steelers just don't have it this year. The Bills at home are very predictable. They will run the ball. They will throw the ball. I think they're going to be a little bit buoyed by their comeback last week. I mean, it shocked everyone that they came back and won the game. And honestly, they're playing very well. I know you're not going to take a side on this game, but if I was going to play a side, I'm playing Buffalo and I'm laying the points. I'll look for 13.5 somewhere and try to play the Bills. I don't think the Steelers have the capability of scoring. I don't think they can play with anybody. I mean, the Steelers. Did I say the Steelers? The Steelers, they're in bad shape. They're in bad shape. So I don't look for them to even put up a fight at Buffalo. I'm laying the points and taking Buffalo. What about you?
The Steelers, of course, going with Kenny Pickett now instead of Trubisky. The fans in Pittsburgh really love Kenny, even though he threw that key interception at the end of the game. Looking at the rest of the season, for the Steelers to have any kind of chance at anything, they have to win the close ones against the average teams. They blew one last week that they had a really good shot of winning. You can't afford it if you don't have that kind of talent, comparable to some of the other teams. Obviously, against Buffalo, they're just totally overmatched. I can see a 40-7 game, 40-3 game, something like this. It's going to be totally one-sided. And the Bills were fortunate last week, but they're at home, and you got to take the Bills. But the 14, I'm not going to wager on it from that aspect, but they're going to win big time against the Steelers.
I agree. I think 40-7, 40-10 is about the outcome of that game. So if you don't lay the points, you're in trouble there, and you can't play the money line. So the Bills look to be too strong. As we look on down the card, we will be back with more selections in just a few minutes. Stay where you are.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Diabetics understand all too well the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can immediately reduce your pain. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn about this groundbreaking new CGM technology. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 or more times daily, injecting insulin 3 or more times daily, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how you can get your own continuous glucose monitor or CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Well, welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone. I'm here with Fred Wallen. Our co-host, Trip Mitchell, is in Europe. As you might expect, he's taken 2-week vacation in the middle of football season. But we will try to bear with him being gone by giving you more winners this way without his interjections. So Fred Wallen's with me here. We're coming up on our next game on the board, and it's going to be a tough one. It's Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings back home from London, 7-point home favorites this week. Fred, what's your opinion?
My feelings, the Bears in trouble, real in trouble, not just physically, but emotionally, psychologically. After the game, Justin Fields really went after a couple members of the press, and he thinks he's playing well. Hey, Justin, you're listening and watching this show. You're not playing well. It's not all your fault, but you are not playing well. If I have to explain that, we have major problems. Minnesota coming back, fortunate to win in London. Kirk Cousins, another not immunized guy, is playing well. He's playing well. And now Thielen caught 8 passes last week. So he's getting back in the game, and they already have Jefferson. So there's no way the Bears, losers last week to the Giants, are going to have any shot here against Minnesota. Minnesota's going to win big time. Minnesota might score 40 by itself. So I think I'm going the over. And what's the exact number as we speak, Dennis, as far as the over?
7 and 43 is all.
Then I'm taking Minnesota big time to win by more than a touchdown, and I'm taking the over. Both combo those two, folks.
Well, there you have it. There's some solid advice from Fred Wallen, that's for sure. I agree wholeheartedly. The Bears do have a problem, and the quarterback thinks he's playing really good, but you have to score a lot of points and win the games if you're playing really good. So there's a logic to this win-loss idea. So they're done. I agree with you. I think they've had it. They're going to have to get rid of their coach. Another coach they're going to have to get rid of. The Vikings playing well. They've played well all year. They're an organized team. They have a running game. The unvaccinated quarterback can throw the ball when he needs to. He throw a few interceptions here and there, but I'm going with Minnesota too. And I don't know what the deal is this week. It may be all home favorites with big numbers that cover. But if you want to be a dog player this week, you're going to take some huge risks, because I'm going with Minnesota minus the 7 too. So there you have it. On to Tennessee and Washington, a game that nobody cares about. Tennessee's a 1.5-point favorite to start, moved to 2.5. Total goes down to 42. Washington's a home team, Fred. What about the Titans?
Commanders have no shot whatsoever. Remember 2 weeks ago, Henry gained a total of 25 yards, and I said my best bet of the week is that he's going to gain more than that. Well, the last couple of weeks, he's definitely done so. He might gain 200 on the ground against Washington this week. Tennessee all the way.
Yeah, the line movement early from Tennessee on the road, a 1.5-point favorite to a 2.5-point favorite, kind of gives it away too. Washington, they can't win any games. Their whole organization, from top to bottom, from ownership to the trainers, is terrible. Okay, I feel sorry for the fans of the Washington, whatever they are, because they're not Commanders. They're something else. I feel sorry for them because they're not going to win any games. I don't know if they're going to win any games this year, and they play the lousiest teams in the league. Here they have a home game against a team that last week was just shuttled away from, but came back and won. And Tennessee's playing good enough to win. And like you say, just hand the ball to Henry and run right through him. That should get the job done here. I'm taking the favorite minus the 2.5 too. Tired of saying we're taking the favorites. Don't really know what else to do but take the favorites. So let's move on down the line, see if we can find something more interesting. And this one probably is. The Miami Dolphins are 3-point road favorites at the New York Jets. The interesting part of this game is Miami started at 5.5, dropped to 3.5, and this morning are down to -3 on the road versus the Jets, who have won a game and now are going home to see what they can do with their quarterback back in this place. What do you think, Fred?
Well, Bridgewater's playing instead of Tua. Folks, Tua had played very, very well before the concussion. He still doesn't have the greatest of arms. Bridgewater's got a better arm than Tua. You've got a Waddle. You've got a Tyreek Hill. I think they're going to score at will against the Jets. It surprised me with the 2 wins, to tell you the truth. But I think on the road, the Dolphins, even with Bridgewater, going to win here. And I think folks will stay away from it because Tua is not the quarterback. But again, Bridgewater has proved himself, I think, in the National Football League that he can win games. I think he'll win here.
I somewhat agree. What's your opinion on the Jets getting their quarterback back last week? They came back and they got their win with their regular quarterback back in the lineup.
Makes a difference, obviously. I don't think there's any question about that. But, and again, Saleh, by way of the 49ers a couple of years ago, is a fine coach, defensive coordinator. And by the way, a lot of conjecture now about the National Football League only hiring African Americans or blacks or whatever for certain positions. But Saleh is a solid coach. He really is. Down the road, the Jets will be, I think, a winning organization if they keep them, and I think they, of course, will. But in this case, I think the Dolphins have just too many ways to score. They really do. I mean, Waddle last year, I don't think a lot of people remember, was one of the best receivers in the National Football League. You add from Kansas City a Tyreek Hill, it's tough to stop. I mean, if every one of your defensive backs are healthy or not healthy, how do you stop those two? It's very, very tough. One of the few teams who have like 2 number 1 receivers in Waddle and Hill. A lot of teams have a number 1 and the number 2, and he's far behind the number 1. In this case, I don't know who the number 1 is. Is it Hill? Is it Waddle? Playing defense, I don't know how you stop him, to tell you the truth.
Well, the Jets are going to have to play some defense, but you're right with Tyreek going there. I mean, that really helps him. And I agree, Bridgewater's just as good a quarterback as Tua. I'd like to see the number go up to 3.5 or 4 if I'm going to take the Jets as a home team here. But right now it's sitting at 3. So I'm going to pass on the selection, and I'm going to take the over 44.5. I think they're going to score a lot of points in this one.
Important health announcement regarding Camp Lejeune.
If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina prior to 1988 and developed any of these cancers or suffered any of these injuries, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now.
Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals, up to 280 times acceptable levels in some instances.
There have been numerous reported cases of exposed personnel developing cancer and other serious health conditions. It is critical to take action and call Camp Lejeune victims now.
If you or someone you know spent time at Camp Lejeune before 1988 and you developed any of these cancers or injuries, call to determine your eligibility for financial compensation now. If you don't win, you pay nothing.
Call 800-828-3058. That's 800-828-3058.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call right now. 800-923-6956. 800-923-6956. 800-923-6956. That's 800-923-6956.
Listen up, football fans. For this week's best bets, call us at 1-888-604-6863. That's 1-888-604-6863. Be a winner. 888-604-6863. Well, welcome back to Football Forecast Weekly, everyone. My name's Dennis Tobler. I'm here with Fred Wallen, as usual. Our co-host, Trip Mitchell, is in Europe, so he has no opinions this week, but we certainly do. We're getting to the meat of the lineup now, so let's pay close attention because we've got some solid picks for this part of the show. As we move on down the schedule this week, the Los Angeles Chargers, who bounced around and had a rather rough beginning here with their quarterback hurt and some of their other players and losing a game on the road. And they're on the road again this week playing the Cleveland Browns. And the Chargers opened at 1.5, Fred, and they immediately moved to 3. So I'm certain that the quarterback is feeling much, much better, or that wouldn't have happened. And I just don't know why the Browns get any respect at all. What's your opinion on this game? The line is the Chargers 3-47.
Browns gave up 200 yards on the ground last week. The Chargers finally refound Austin Eckler, 3 touchdowns last week on the ground. You got to figure, all things being equal, the Chargers will be able to move the ball that way for sure. And obviously, it's now been 2 weeks since the injury to Herbert, so he's getting better. Allen will not play again for the Chargers, but Mike Williams, Palmer can do the job. I think that number's low. I think it's very low. That's why it jumped from that 1.5 to 2.5 and now 3, I guess. I'm taking the Chargers on the road. Again, I'm not a big Staley fan. I don't think he's a great coach at all. So far, he's in his second season. He hasn't shown me a lot, but I think they have too much talent here against the 1 weak part of the Browns would be defensively on the ground. And the Chargers do have an Eckler, and so he ought to have a wild day again. So, folks, if you're playing fantasy, don't leave Austin Eckler out. I like the Chargers.
Well, there's some good advice for you fans out there, especially on your fantasy leagues. Fred's very good at that stuff, so pay attention to him. The line move triggered everything here. I want to mention last week the Chargers started off as only a 4-point favorite and went to 6 as they decided that the quarterback was getting well enough to play. And I think he looked like he wasn't hurt at all to me. So hallelujah to the great medical teams they have and the pain shots and everything else they're able to get in the NFL, because the rest of us, we sit around and suffer pretty hard. So good for him. He was back. He looked great. They are much more talented than this Cleveland Browns team. And I think, too, when you start talking about teams in the eastern part of the country, they're all overrated because the press on the East Coast is biased. Cleveland has no team. Nobody in that division has a team. And if they had to play these AFC West teams week in and week out, they'd have no wins on the year. So I have 2 things to say about this. I'm going to take the Chargers. They're going to blow away the Browns. But I also want to say that when we were doing our team totals show, I mentioned to everybody that it's going to be really hard for teams to get to 10, 11, 12 wins this year. And I think the first 4 weeks of the season have proved that out, because the Raiders, who made the playoffs last year, hadn't won a game going into last weekend. So they're not going to get to 10 wins on the season. So the Chargers are another one of those teams. They've lost 1 or 2. What's their record, Fred? 2-2?
2-2.
2-2. They've already lost 2 games in that tough AFC West division. Are they going to get to 10 wins for the year? I don't know. But in this game, they are going to win, and they're going to win handily. As a matter of fact, the Chargers are a very good team. They're a very good team, and they're going to roll over. They'll control the ball with the run game. He'll pass when he needs to pass, and he'll catch him off guard once a quarter. So here again, we're going to take a favorite on the road to win big time. Let's take the Chargers and go to town with that one. That one and a couple of these other ones seem very strong to me at this point in the week. Of course, anything can happen, later on in the week. Well, let's move to another game. The disappointing Detroit Lions, who seem to play tough, or at least people say they play tough, scored 40 points last week and lost the ball game. They go to New England. New England opened at 1 and quickly jumped to 3. New England came back and put a hell of a scare into Green Bay last weekend. And I was unable to watch the game due to other circumstances. So it's surprising to see that it went to overtime. And here we got two teams that I'm not sure which direction either team's going in. I'm just not going to give Detroit credit for coming close all the time. Okay, so the line on this one is the Patriots 3. The total jumped from 43 to 46.5 on this one. So what say you, Fred?
Well, the Lions, Goff is playing very well. Lions, Williams, their running back, is running very well. They're going to score on everybody. And I'm not sure at this point which one of the three quarterbacks will be going for the Patriots. The third quarterback, Zappe, played well, considering nobody expected him to play from Western Kentucky. He played well. He played fine. But I think the Lions will outscore him here. I really do. You can't, if you're going to go, you got to go the over because neither team can play any defense. So, and again, it's interesting that going against Belichick, but things balance out over a period of time. They really do. The Lions have to win some close games. So just like last week, they score 40 plus and lose. This week, they're going to score 40 plus and win. I like Detroit and I like the over.
Okay, well, I disagree with you on this one. I don't disagree with the line move. I mean, New England should be a 3-point favorite in this game, but I'm not going to take the Detroit Lions. I mean, they always play close. They always play tough. They don't cover. They don't cover their number, and they're always coming from behind. Belichick's too good a coach. 3 points is the least the Patriots will win by, so I'm going to take the Patriots in opposition to you on that one. But I think we'll have another agreement coming on the next game on the board. Let's take a look at this one. And this one here is going to take some thinking. So stay with me, everyone. The San Francisco 49ers, coming off their big win over the Super Bowl champs, are on the road to play Carolina this week. San Francisco, prior to the week, was 3.5-point favorite. When they opened the week's lines, they went to 5. And after the game this week, they went to 7. So San Francisco is now a 7-point road favorite at Carolina, and the total is 39, Fred.
Mayfield, it's time to put up or get out of there. Put up, show up, whatever the case might be. I don't think there's any question that he has not had a first quarter of the season, has not played as well as I thought he would. I gave him the alibi of the arm injury last year. His arm injury is better. He's having problems. McCaffrey will play Sunday. But I'm going to take the 7 at home. The 49ers had to be sky high for the Rams. By the way, they've now beaten the Rams 7 straight times in the regular season. But they had to be sky high for the Rams. Jimmy G had some good moments, and he had some interesting moments where he missed some wide open receivers. I'm going to take the touchdown. I'm going to give Mayfield, I've said this before, this is my final chance. I'm going to give him one more chance to show me what I think he had in college and what I think he had earlier in his career. I think he's a good actor doing the commercials. I'm going with Mayfield. I'm taking the touchdown at home against the 49ers.
Well, the saying is put up or shut up. I think they've shut him up on his commercials a little bit, so now he can concentrate on his football. You're right. He has not had a good start to the season, but coming into a new team, it is tough. But he does have he did have McCaffrey until he got hurt again, which you can't count on that dude to play any season fully. He's hurt all the time. I just Carolina has gotten a lot of credit and respect. They haven't played anybody yet this year. They luckily came up with a win last week, but I think the 49ers are riding high. You got to remember the game in Denver on Monday night 2 weeks ago was a sloppy game, and the weather was bad. Neither team could move the ball. Ended up 11-10 in favor of Denver, and San Francisco. They're not going to make that mistake again on the road. The line movement alone tells you there is tons of money on the 49ers going from 3.5 to 5 to 7. And look, folks, we're not even close to Sunday. So I would pay attention to that. But the 49ers here again on the road, a huge favorite. I'm going to take them. I can't go with Mayfield any longer. A lot of these quarterbacks get the Heisman or in the Heisman Trophy hunt come into the NFL and can't play football. They can run the ball in college. You can't run the ball in the pros. You've got to be able to throw. I'm going to take San Francisco. I think they're one of the better teams in the league. I was shocked when Denver beat them, to be honest with you. But I'm going to take San Francisco on the road, lay 7 points, going against every one of the mantras of sports betting, a huge favorite on the road in the NFL. I don't know, but I am going to go with the San Francisco 49ers here. So we've got opposite on a couple of games, but most of these games this week, we're right on target on all of them. And I would recommend to our viewers out there that when Fred and I agree on a game, we're looking at it from two different angles, and we agree it's pretty much a good, solid selection there. And we've indicated our more solid selections to you. So if you pay attention with your pencils out there, you should win this weekend. Well, the next game on the board, Fred, is an interesting matchup. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals. Philadelphia is a 5-point road favorite. They're undefeated on the season, but they're going to have their hands full this week playing the Arizona Cardinals, who have not won at home yet this year. It looks like a tough one to me. The total on this one's 49.5. It'll probably be 50. What do you think?
I think it's going to go over 50. And again, Arizona, as you indicated, 0-7, their last 7 at home against the spread. That's a problem. And Murray, as talented physically as he is, will throw the key interception or make the key fumble or make the bad call. He's fortunate that he signed that contract, is all I can tell you. I think he's very talented, but I think he's not necessarily a winning quarterback. So I'm going to go with Hurts in Philadelphia. Together, they're going to score more than 50 points in this one. I can't give 5 on the road. It's Arizona's going to lose maybe by 2 or 3, but Arizona's going to find a way to lose, I think, and I think it'll be a high-scoring affair.
I agree. It'd be a high-scoring affair. They're going to go back and forth up and down the field in this game, that's for sure. I just can't lay 5 points on the road in a matchup with a team as good as Arizona, because when they do get to playing, and they're getting some of their players back now, they are an awesome team. I'm going to take the 5 points and take Philadelphia or take Arizona here. I think 5 points is far too many. I may even make a small money line wager on Arizona. So we're opposite on this one, one of the few.
But we both like a high-scoring affair.
Right. I'm Dennis Tobler, and I want to talk to you for a minute about how gambling in America became legal. I am the executive producer of a documentary that's won many film festivals called Now Place Your Bets, The History of Sports Betting in America. Now, the history of sports betting in America is a long, hard tale about how it became legal. It just did not become legal over the last few years without the efforts of the many who came before. The documentary documents this 120 years of betting history, all in one film. So look it up, Google it. It's on Amazon Prime Video. Now Place Your Bets, The History of Sports Betting in America. And you can also get it by going to nowplaceyourbets.com. and we have DVDs available for you. So at your first time you get a chance, make sure you watch this documentary on how sports betting became legalized in America. It was a long, tough go, but we got it done. And the people who made it get done are well documented in this film. So take the time to watch it. Until next week, thank you.
Life's all about sizing up your chances. You take the good with the bad, figure out your odds, and choose a path you think will take you further ahead than you were when you started. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. If you lose, you just pick yourself up and try again.
The only reason you play is to win. The only reason you gamble is to win.
Sports and sports gambling go hand in hand, and with the evolution of more leisure time, more disposable income, etc., it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger.
If you get 100 gamblers in a room, they range from 21 to 91. They range from men to women, black to white, Catholic to Muslim. They range from whatever you like. Everybody bets the games. I mean, one way or another.
I want to be on the top of the new generation. More people play on sports than poker. You know, you go to an office on a Friday night to work, a corporate 9-to-5 job, they're not playing cards. They're talking fantasy football, and they're saying, let's do the parlay cards. Everybody bets.
The program you are about to see is an intelligent, informative discussion of football.
The explosion of offshore sports betting came about almost overnight, in the blink of an eye.
There's so much innovation, and it's changing constantly. Esports, it's brand new, and now it's absolutely booming.
Have you ever wondered how sports betting became so popular? Here's how.
Dallas Cowboys, next game up on the board. They're playing the Rams, who suffered their defeat this week. The Rams went down from 6.5 to 4.5 to 4. The total went from 46 to 43. I've said all along that Cooper Rush was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. He's proved it, Fred. He's proved it over the last few weeks. Okay, and LA Rams, I don't know why they can't score. Their defense is tough as nails. I don't know why they can't score. Maybe it's the quarterback. Maybe they figured out how to defend him this year. It shocked me they couldn't put a touchdown on the board against San Francisco. I mean, Denver put a touchdown on the board against them. So the Cowboys here, I'm going to lay the 4 points, and I'm going to take the LA Rams at home. The Cowboys, even though I think Rush can get the job done at quarterback, and the money's going to come in on the Cowboys, believe me. So the line might go down a little bit when people start looking at the end of the week. But I'm gonna take the home team Rams here. I think they're going to beat Dallas, and this might be Cooper Rush's bad weekend playing against this tough defense on the road against Aaron Donald. He might not look like all-pro quarterback like he has the last 3 weeks.
I heard a rumor that Miss Lily of AT&T broke up with Mr. Stafford after his fourth quarter performance on Monday night. So he's not going to be a happy guy. I got to tell you,
he better play hard.
I have to say this. A lot of it's on McVay. A lot of it's on Stafford's fourth quarter, but McVay the entire game. You've got a wide receiver that you pick up, Allen Robinson, who was a top-notch receiver for the Bears, before that Jacksonville, before that Penn State. He's got to catch more than 2 passes. That's on the coach. That's on the quarterback. I don't care if Kupp catches 14 and Higbee catches 6 or 7. Find Allen Robinson and you will win. I think the Rams will probably win this one. But McVay is an overrated coach, bottom line.
For sure. Moving on to the night game now, Cincinnati at Baltimore. Baltimore is the team I'm thinking of. Baltimore's the one that was ahead the whole game to Buffalo, gave it up at the end. They're 3-point home favorites against the Bengals. I'm going to make it easy and quick. I'm taking the Bengals +3.
John Harbaugh thinks he's the smartest man in the room. He's not. Doesn't go for the field goal when he should have gone for the field goal. Last year, remember, he made 2 major mistakes late in the season. Again, he thinks he's so smart. He's not. He's overrated. And I like Cincinnati. I'll take the Bengals and the points. I think they'll score points against Baltimore. And again, Lamar Jackson, fun to watch in a close game. I don't trust him winning. So I'm going to take Cincinnati winning in this circumstance.
So finally this week, we're going down to the Monday night game. The Las Vegas Raiders, coming off their big win last week, are in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 7-51. The numbers are solid. What say you?
I think the number should be about 20. Raiders were lucky to win last week. Right now, who is the best quarterback in the National Football League? Even better than Allen. Is there any question that Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league? Yeah.
Mahomes
they lose Hill. They got 5 other wide receivers. I think Kansas City will win by as many points if they need to win by. The Raiders will not score a lot of points. I'm taking Kansas. My best game would be that game. I'm taking Kansas City -7 to win by 15, 20, 25, or 30.
There you go. The last game on the board's Fred Wallen's best bet of the week, and I'm going to ride along with him. I've said all along the Raiders are not going to have a good year this year. They were lucky to win last week and cover especially, and they will not win this week. Kansas City can score at will against the Raiders, and he'll pick them apart. There'll be 10 different guys catch the ball. I'm taking Mahomes, laying the 7. And on Monday night might be the biggest game of the week, folks, so take Kansas City. I want to thank all of you for viewing, and we'll be back again next week, Fred and I, with more Football Forecast Weekly.